Travel makes you sick. Nereus, the new FDA-approved drug, is the solution. Today, we are talking about a newly approved prescription medicine called Nereus, also known by its scientific name, tradipitant. This medication represents a major step forward in the treatment of motion sickness, because it is the first new FDA-approved prescription therapy for this condition in more than 40 years. Nereus is approved specifically to help prevent vomiting caused by motion sickness in adults, including symptoms triggered during car rides, boat travel, and air flights. To truly understand why this approval matters, we first need to understand what motion sickness is, why it happens, and how it affects millions of people worldwide. Motion sickness is not a psychological problem, and it is not a weakness. It is a biological response that happens when the brain receives conflicting signals from different parts of the body. Your eyes, inner ears, and muscles normally work together to tell your brain where you are in space and how you are moving. When you are sitting in a moving vehicle, your inner ear senses motion, but your eyes may be focused on something stationary like a book or phone. At the same time, your muscles may be telling your brain that you are sitting still. This sensory mismatch confuses the brain. When this happens, the nervous system activates a protective reflex that evolved to respond to poisoning. The body releases a chemical messenger called substance P, which binds to neurokinin-1 receptors in the brain. This activation triggers nausea and, in more severe cases, vomiting. In simple terms, motion sickness is the result of your brain misinterpreting conflicting motion signals as a potential threat. For many people, motion sickness causes mild discomfort, light nausea, or sweating. But for others, it leads to severe nausea and repeated vomiting. Studies estimate that about 1 in 4 adults in the United States experience motion sickness during routine travel. That translates to roughly 65 to 78 million people. Globally, up to 1/3 of individuals are highly susceptible. Within this population, approximately 5 to 15% suffer from severe or recurrent motion sickness that significantly disrupts daily life. These individuals often avoid travel, decline boat trips or flights, and miss important opportunities because of fear of becoming sick. Some experience symptoms so intense that even short car rides become unbearable. For decades, treatment options have been limited, and many patients have had to accept side effects almost as unpleasant as the condition itself. Traditional motion sickness medications primarily include antihistamines, such as meclizine and dimenhydrinate, as well as prescription scopolamine patches. These drugs work by broadly suppressing activity in the nervous system. While they can reduce symptoms, they frequently cause drowsiness, dry mouth, blurred vision, dizziness, and mental fog. Many people cannot function normally while taking them. For some patients, these side effects are severe enough to prevent use altogether. This is where Nereus changes the conversation. Nereus, or tradipitant, works in a completely different way. It belongs to a class of medications known as neurokinin-1 receptor antagonists. Instead of broadly affecting multiple brain pathways, tradipitant selectively blocks NK1 receptors. These receptors are the primary targets of substance P, the chemical that drives the vomiting reflex in motion sickness. By blocking this pathway directly, Nereus interrupts nausea and vomiting at their source. This targeted mechanism allows the medication to prevent vomiting without interfering extensively with other brain functions. In other words, it focuses on the root cause rather than dulling the entire nervous system. The FDA approved Nereus on December 30, 2025, specifically for the prevention of vomiting induced by motion in adults. This approval followed rigorous clinical testing designed to replicate real-world travel conditions. The effectiveness of Nereus was demonstrated through 3 pivotal clinical studies, including 2 large Phase 3 trials called Motion Syros and Motion Seraphos. These studies were conducted on boats to realistically provoke motion sickness. Participants were adults with documented histories of motion sickness. They received either a single oral dose of Nereus or a placebo about 1 hour before traveling on boats for periods lasting 2 to 5 hours. In the Motion Zero study, which included 365 participants, vomiting occurred in approximately 18 to 19% of people who received Nereus, compared with over 44% of those who received placebo. This difference was statistically significant and demonstrated a clear reduction in vomiting. In the Motion Zero study, involving 316 participants, vomiting occurred in roughly 10 to 18% of those taking Nereus, compared with nearly 38% in the placebo group. These results represented risk reductions exceeding 50 to 70%. Across the entire clinical program, Nereus consistently reduced vomiting in people prone to motion sickness and demonstrated a safety profile appropriate for short-term use. These findings formed the basis of FDA approval. It is important to emphasize that Nereus is designed to prevent vomiting before it starts. It is not intended to treat nausea or vomiting once symptoms have already begun. Patients are advised to take a single dose about 1 hour before anticipated motion exposure. Nereus is available as oral capsules in 2 strengths, 85 mg and 170 mg. It should be taken on an empty stomach, either 1 hour before eating or 2 hours afterward, to ensure proper absorption. Only 1 dose should be taken within 24 hours. The most commonly reported side effects in clinical trials were drowsiness, headache, and fatigue. These effects occurred more frequently at the higher dose. Because Nereus can cause sleepiness, patients are advised to avoid driving or operating heavy machinery until they understand how the medication affects them. Combining Nereus with alcohol or other drugs that affect the central nervous system may increase drowsiness. Nereus has not been extensively studied in individuals with severe liver or kidney disease, so use in these populations should be carefully discussed with a healthcare provider. Its safety during pregnancy and breastfeeding has not been established, and patients in these situations should seek medical advice before use. From a historical perspective, motion sickness has long been recognized as more than a minor inconvenience. During World War II, particularly during the D-Day invasion of Normandy, severe seasickness impaired troop effectiveness and became a strategic concern. This prompted early research into antiemetic therapies to maintain operational readiness. Today, motion sickness continues to affect both military and civilian populations, impacting travel, work, and quality of life. The approval of Nereus marks a meaningful advancement, introducing a new therapeutic approach after decades of stagnation in this field. It offers patients an alternative to older medications that often cause undesirable side effects. For people who have not found relief with traditional treatments, Nereus provides a new option grounded in modern neuroscience. Beyond motion sickness, tradipitant is also being studied for other conditions involving nausea and vomiting mediated by substance P, including gastroparesis and nausea related to GLP-1 receptor agonists, which are commonly used in diabetes and obesity treatment. While these indications are still under investigation, they highlight the broader potential of NK1 receptor antagonism. In summary, Nereus is a prescription medicine approved to prevent vomiting caused by motion sickness in adults. It works by selectively blocking NK1 receptors, interrupting the chemical pathway responsible for nausea and vomiting. Clinical trials conducted in real-world travel settings showed significant reductions in vomiting compared with placebo. It is taken as a single oral dose before motion exposure and is generally well tolerated, with drowsiness, headache, and fatigue being the most common side effects. Most importantly, Nereus represents the first new FDA-approved prescription treatment for motion sickness in over 40 years. For millions of people who struggle with this condition, it offers renewed hope for comfortable travel and improved quality of life. As always, anyone considering Nereus should speak with their healthcare provider to determine whether it is appropriate for their individual needs.